And
We're having a good, juicy conversation before we hopped on camera. Um, and we were talking a lot about investment. So you said you are exhausted because you have been going through your process, your vetting process, tuning in, listening in about a new investment.
yeah, it's I love the process. I mean, I think part of me is was a hunter in the back, maybe last lifetime. I love hunting
Yeah.
deep. I love chasing them and finding the right ones. Right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting process because it's not just intellectually stimulating. It's also very worthwhile process because once you go through a process of identifying a business and then doing your due diligence, your confidence in that opportunity is very, very high. Doesn't mean
Right.
it's going to work out. Investment is an investment is an investment. No matter how much due diligence we do, things don't always work out the way we want them to work out, right?
Mhm.
But you also don't want to say that, hey, you know what, Brooke recommended a deal, and I know Brooke, so I want to jump in. Brooke may be
Right,
right.
right. Because that situation is vastly different, you and me.
Definitely. And also, your risk tolerance is very different than mine, potentially. We don't know yet, but there could be. So, you have to. I'm a big believer that everyone, even if you're putting a dollar into a deal, and we're using deal as synonymous as investment opportunity. If it's crypto for you, stocks for you, whatever it is. For me, it's real estate and
Mhm,
cash businesses. But if
mhm,
it's whatever you're putting a dollar into, you need to make sure you understand that you have a good thesis behind it. It's not
right,
just saying, hey, you know what, the pizza guy or the Uber guy told me to buy the Bitcoin. They may be right, but what do you know about Bitcoin? What do you know about a business? What do you know about Tesla? I'm picking these up. What do you know about real estate? What do you know about multifamily? So it's a lot
mhm,
of research that needs to be done before you even put out a single dollar because to make a single dollar, you have to put a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifices.
yes, you
So
do.
you have to be careful where you're deploying it. So we're right now looking at an investment opportunity. We're figuring out if that's going to work or not. It's in a real estate space as well. Can't share much yet, but we were literally going through the accounting books this morning for last 5 years, every single line item, right, to make sure that we know. And we got the owners on the call. The
Right.
questions we were asking, their books were not done right. To their surprise, not that they intentionally did it. To their surprise, they had no idea.
That's scary.
Yes and no, because so I think that's a very interesting point. It's scary if the story that they're telling you doesn't add what they have done.
Mm,
So was that an intentional mistake to fake the numbers, to cook the books, or was that an honest accounting mistake where they were
right.
doing their own books? Simple. They're not accountants. So, oh, you know what? We did this. Okay, now we understand it. So if you
Mm,
did this, what would the business look like? So you
right.
you understand what the noise is, you remove the noise, and you say, if that noise was not in it, what would business be valued at? What would my P&L look like? Profit and loss. What would my balance sheet look like? Right. So you
Mhm.
whole goal of the process this morning, and it was 4 hours since this morning, since just before this, I almost thought, well, let's cancel it. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to cancel it. I'm like, I'm exhausted in this 4 hours looking at a spreadsheet and
I can't
numbering.
imagine 4 hours looking at a spreadsheet.
I couldn't either, but the business is interesting. I really, really, really think that business has a lot of potential.
Hmm.
Uh, and the owner was going to just give away to the employees. I'm like, no, let's not do that. We can still benefit the employees if you structure it properly to make sure that your
Right.
residual income, it's good for me, it's good for my investors, it's good for your employees. We can probably create a win-win for doing that. So that's what I was doing. That's really what I meant by due diligence. That you have to understand the business model at its core, and you can't
Hmm.
by taking a tip from either a party or a Uber guy or a pizza delivery guy, whoever is your source of the
Or
tips.
social media, which we got to be really careful and really aware because there's a lot of misinformation on social media.
It's
And you yourself, you're in the real estate, the business space. And a lot of people try to educate on that on Instagram. And then conversely, there's a lot of people who educate on stocks and crypto and
Yeah.
all of those concepts.
It's
What's your generalized opinion of why have you chosen the real estate route?
so I think there's two things there. I want to first comment on the stuff that you talked about, the social media, right? So it's kind
Very.
of funny when I was looking for a digital media person. I'm like, you know what? I need somebody who's more millennial to take care of my social media. I very quickly realized most people learn on YouTube and then they practice on you as a client, right?
Little true.
It's very, very hard to know if you don't know your due diligence. Again, the due diligence applies to everything. If you don't know how to evaluate if the person has a real credibility, you don't know. You're basically believing whoever is doing the better marketing, right? Now it becomes a marketing game. So now to answer your question, as in when we talked about another comment about Instagram and Reels and all that good stuff, they're all good, but it's all marketing, right? It's all marketing. Why I thought I should cancel this conversation this afternoon, this LinkedIn live. I'm like, you know what? It's social media. It's marketing. It's not that important. So for me, why I decided to do that before I answer your real question is more around. Well, there's a lot of people doing it just for marketing, but I don't care about marketing piece. My marketing sucks. You probably don't even receive newsletters from me because it's not important for me, right? Doesn't mean it's not needed. It's not important for me because I'm a believer that you want to share the truth about the message. The marketing should not precede it. Market should be an afterthought. It shouldn't be the first thought, right? If you're doing things just because of marketing, if you're putting it on Instagram and teaching people how to invest in real estate through Instagram, uh, most successful real estate investors don't have time for Instagram. They don't, or they have a team of people who is doing it for them, right? So you have to ask yourself who you're learning from. Again, we talk about due diligence, right? So be careful. I'm not saying don't go on social media, as I am self-accepted addict on the YouTube Shorts. I have I have no shame in accepting it. Doesn't mean it's right. I am addicted, so I understand the role social media plays in people's life. So I'm not saying don't go there, but be careful who you listen to.
And have a very critical eye.
Have a very
Just
good.
don't believe everything you read.
Just like this conversation. Don't
Mhm.
believe anything that Saket and Brooke are saying, right? They are just
Yeah.
sharing their perspective, and you have no idea what I had. We may be telling you we have no agenda, but you have no idea, right?
Oh,
So even us, look at it from whatever we're saying, take it with a grain of salt, put your own intellect behind it, put your own life's experience behind it, and what makes sense, take it. What doesn't make sense, leave it, right?
exactly.
That's how you want to have every single conversation. That's what's going to push you forward, right? In general in life, but more importantly in investing, because when you hear about a stock tip, chances are that person's already invested in it, and the more people that person talk to, the more people are going to buy that stock, the more that stock's going to go up. We're using stock as a proxy, right? Very simple.
Yes, that's a very important point.
Why wouldn't they talk about their next crypto? Because they're in it and they want the next loser to invest in it. I'm not saying crypto is a bad investment, but using that as a proxy. They want everyone to invest in it, so the crypto goes up. And if I were the one who was the first one to recommend it, I probably bought at a low cost basis. I'm going to get out of it.
Mhm.
Right? Now it's your job. You didn't ask me when to quit it. You asked me when to invest. You didn't listen to when I was saying I'm ready to quit. Right? You just only heard what you wanted to hear. So long-winded answer of be careful about what you hear from who you hear from. Does that person have the credibility or the qualifications for you to listen to him or her? Very
Mhm.
important, right? So just be careful of that. Now the question for that, the real question you asked was why real estate or why businesses? My
Yeah.
investment philosophy is I don't invest in anything that doesn't pay me to hold it. Period.
Very important point.
So there are very few things that can do that.
Yeah.
There's real estate if you buy it properly. When I say
Mhm.
pay you to own it, that means it's net positive for me. Doesn't
Right.
mean if I have negative $200 cash flow in my rental property, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying even if it's a $1 extra, it's giving me $1 on top of everything I have to pay in a rental property, right?
Hmm.
That $1, I probably won't look at an investment like that, but making a point here is you have to,
We're simplifying the numbers.
right, we have to make positivity saying that my cash flow is going to be more than what I'm paid for. And you're not looking at financial engineering where, oh, but I'm going to reduce my taxes. Oh, but I'm going to pay my principal. No, nothing. Your total expense, including your mortgage, interest, insurance, and everything, is $100. I'm making it up.
Mhm.
Your after paying your expenses are $90, right? You made so your other expenses are $90, so you made a total of $190 of expense. If your
Right.
rent is 180, I won't even look at the deal. If the rent is 200, it at least come to me and say, "Do you want to take a look at it?" I may then compare as compared to this deal. I have 10 other opportunities, and in some of them, is going to pay me $500 a month to hold, and I
Right.
start comparing, right? So then you want to compare. So why real estate and businesses? Because they are probably the only two entities that I understand, which I can draw the cash flow from.
Right.
I'm actually favoring businesses nowadays more than even real estate is because if I own the business and I'm actively running the business, I have a lot of control in where the revenue needs to come from.
Mhm. And you can cut those costs, you can keep those profits up, cut
One
that unproductivity, all of which is really huge.
100%. So now you're optimizing the business, but
Mhm.
it has more risk if you don't know what you're doing. Like the business that we're looking
Mhm.
at is construction business. Construction,
Mm.
real estate, I understand. I'm not gonna go buy a coffee shop. I don't understand it, right?
Yeah.
So I can easily put a due diligence behind a construction business because I understand the value chain completely. I
Mhm.
understand numbers. So
It's
that goes
very tangible, it's very easy to see.
definitely. Now, coffee shop is also easy to see, but I
Mhm.
don't know what it means to run a coffee shop, right? I don't think Zoom loves my comment. So
Yeah,
they
loves his little thumbs up, but I think you're going back to do what you know, right? And so often with real estate or any sort of investment, well, I don't know enough, and you can get really stuck. And that analysis paralysis, well, I have to learn more, I have to read more, I have to ingest more content. And that's not always the case.
yeah. I mean, there could be the case. So it took me. I'll take you back to my journey. It took me
Yeah,
about 7 years to get here.
yeah,
So I could have easily said that my life as a consultant has been in the tech world or in the technology world, I should say, right? So what do I know about the construction business? 7 years ago, my answer would have been nothing.
right.
I wouldn't have looked at that as a business to buy.
Mhm.
Right?
You probably would have looked for engineering sort of things.
Look at, hey, let's go build the next AI model, right? Let's go launch the next,
Mhm.
or let's launch a services business around it. That's the world I lived in. That's what
Let's
I.
launch an app like TikTok, stuff
Let's
like
launch
that.
TikTok. Exactly. That's where my head would have gone. And there's nothing wrong in there, right? It's
Yeah,
completely businesses, but that's what I've learned at that time. But now where I am right now, the last 7 years, I have invested every single ounce of my energy into understanding real estate.
right.
So now I'm at a point where when an opportunity comes up to buy something, I know exactly how to evaluate it because I know when an owner is saying something, I know if that's true or that's complete lie. I may not
Mhm.
still know how to run it, but I can now do. I know enough about the business that I'm able to see through what somebody else is telling.
Mhm.
And that's where if you don't have an understanding of a business today, doesn't mean you can't develop it. You
Mhm.
can, but you have to figure out is the price to pay to learn. When I say price, not only dollars. Last time we talked about resources. The
Right.
resource
Could be emotional energy, could be mental energy, could be losing an hour of sleep. All of that is important.
could be time with your kids, could be time with your spouse, could be
Yep.
time you may have a sick one at home that you need to take care of. Who knows what's happening in your lives? But the cost of understanding a new domain, are you going to be able to?
Mhm.
Doesn't mean you're not capable of. I think everyone's smart enough to figure out anything they want to. Some may require 1 hour, some may require 1 day, right? It's just a matter of time. But everyone's smart enough to figure anything they want to figure out. It's where we align our passions to. So, where you want to understand is if you're looking to invest, when I say invest, it does not necessarily mean invest your money.
Right.
It also it also goes about investing in relationship, investing in your time, investing in your mind.
Mhm.
Whatever you want to do, you want to understand what is your end goal with that, and is that going to help you, and then figure out, is this business or this opportunity or this thing that you're investing time in, is it going to push you forward, right?
Mhm.
And once you know all these things we were talking about, you have to make sure it aligns with your why, right? And people always say, like when I was looking at the construction company, my wife asked me the question, "Are you passionate about construction?" I'm like, "Not really, because I can't lift a hammer. I don't even know
Okay.
where. I'm not handy at all, right? I think if I have to fix my bed, I probably have to call somebody. Um,
Okay.
so I'm definitely not a handy person." So she's like, how would you run it?" So I thought about it. I'm like, okay, why am I buying this business? If I were to buy this business, am I buying this business to make it a passionate play, or am I buying this business to partner with somebody who actually understand that piece of business, but they are not operationally that strong, or they're at a
Right.
different stage in life, right? Whatever the reasoning is. So can I create a structure where I don't need to know how to lift a hammer? But not a lot of people are comfortable with that thought as well. We put out
Mhm.
opportunities. We have the ATM opportunity right now, which is giving you what, almost 25% cash on cash. Uh, or we have apartment deals, we have car washes. There's so many different opportunities to invest alongside us. A lot of people are not comfortable partnering with somebody. If they don't understand it, they don't want to partner, right?
Right. Because
I
it
don't.
makes you feel inferior in some ways to admit this person is better in this area than I am. And that does not detract from your value. It's just
Yep.
being honest.
Or or what they think is that I don't have a control on it.
Mhm.
So it's the control that's probably going to make or break you in anything in life, because well, you don't have control in your life, right? So get used to not having control in other areas of your life, which is your money, right? It's really about partnering. It's really about understanding that person. I've known this person for the last 8 years. So I know their value systems. I know who they are. I know what they stand for. Um,
Mhm.
investment may not work out, but
Right.
can I use their talent as a proxy for getting us ahead in this business? Yes, right. But I
Right.
also understand that this is a complementary skill. They are not that
Mhm.
strong in the areas that I'm super strong in.
Mhm.
I know me at this point. So I'm like, okay, if I'm partnering with Brooke, she does.
Right. We're a great example of this, honestly.
So you have a great skill that I don't. I'm like,
Right.
this is a perfect partnership. And of course, I have some skills that you don't, or you don't care.
Right.
Not that you don't have the talent for, you don't care for. You're like, I would rather spend time doing this. Perfect partnership.
Mhm.
But I don't have a control on what question Brooks asked me. I have no idea. This is not pre-scripted. If you haven't figured it out yet,
Right. Yeah.
she
I can just really put him up there and I can ask him whatever I want.
completely. So I have no idea, right? So I think losing control is actually a beautiful thing. And we
Yeah.
learned that skill, or I learned that skill along with my wife when we actually went to the monastery,
Mhm.
because we were told when to get up, we were told what clothes to wear, we were told what food to eat, we were told what our day is going to look like, we were told what time to sleep. The whole day was scripted,
Mhm.
right? I think we fought back with it. There was a lot of resistance to that because we're not used to it. But within, once we settled into that lack of choices and just handed over the control to somebody else in that area of the life, it just became blissful. It's just like this is easy. That person is making a decision because they know what we came here for. We came here for a reason. Otherwise, we wouldn't have come. They didn't beg us to come. We came. So why are we resisting it? So let's give into the process and believe the process. And same's true with partnerships, same's true with syndications. At some point, you have to believe that somebody who is in more control than you, you're always in control, but somebody
Right.
has a more degree of control. Will they make a better decision for you or not? Right?
Right. And setting that ego aside and saying, I don't have to be the top dog here. That's a
Yeah.
big thing.
Most of us are type A personalities. We like to control every single moment
Yeah.
of life, every single decision, every single outcome. And business is a team sport, right? It's really life's a team sport, I think, but more specifically, business is definitely a team sport. You cannot do it alone. You either need a partner or an employee. Doesn't matter, or a sub. Doesn't matter who you are. If you want to grow the business, you cannot grow it by yourself. You're going to hit a scale issue there. So if you're going to start trust, at that point, you're putting your life in somebody else's hand. It's all about the decision we're talking about now is how much of that control do you give away?
Right.
Do you want to be the one in control of every single decision? Well, there's a cost to that, right?
There's
There's
a
no
cost of being constantly tethered to your phone for that.
correct, correct, and I've seen that this
Mhm.
morning, 4 hours of it. Now I love that process, so I don't blame, I don't regret being on a call with the owner trying to dig. It's the consultant in me that I want to understand the entire picture, and I can pinpoint the problems, and I know what to
But you
solve.
can't imagine doing a 4 hour call every day.
No, not every day, or I can't do this conversation for 4 hours. I'm going to be drained. But it may not.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's knowing yourself as well. Here's the
Plus,
things I'm good at. Here's what triggers me. Here's what drains me. All of that's very important.
and I have a feeling, Brooke, these conversations, what you thrive. Maybe not with me off
Yeah.
4 hours, but you're going
Yeah.
to go this back to back in your day. This is what you live
Hmm.
for, right? So
Exactly.
different things are energizing different people. So as you said, you have to know who you are.
Hmm.
Because if you don't know who you are, partnering and everything else, you're basically going to find blame in others. Like I was talking to my daughter the other day, I was telling her golf is actually one of the best games to self reflect because you can't
Hmm.
blame anybody.
No, you can't. I've tried.
Yeah, you cannot. Well, wind was not supporting. Well, why didn't you take care of the wind? Well, the ball was crappy. Well, why didn't you change the
My
ball?
mind, my mind wasn't in the right place. Well, that comes back to you.
Back to you. Golf is an amazing, amazing game to self reflect, right? It's like if she was saying, oh, well, even if we do play volleyball, we can't blame others. I'm like, I'm not talking about that blame. I'm talking
Mhm.
about the ownership of that game completely relies on you versus a team, right? Or maybe Brooke and Saket were playing. Maybe Brooke had a bad day and we lost the game because of Brooke, or maybe because of Saket, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't mean I'm going to belabor Brooke or Brooke is going to kill me to lose the
Right.
game.
We hope nothing like that happens.
We're going to support each other, right? We're going to support each other and say, well, we'll try again next time. But in golf, there's no Brooke.
No.
If Saket doesn't hit the shot, it's all on Saket.
Hmm. And
That's
same for me.
same with you, right? And
Hmm.
that's what happens in investing. Unless you understand the deal properly and you have a due diligence mechanism, you're always going to find a Brook or Saket to blame, right?
Hmm.
Which is what I'm encouraging everybody, every passive investor that's in my deal. They say, how much are you putting? I'm like, how is that question relevant? I will tell you, but tell me how is that question relevant? He's like, because I'll put how much you're putting. I'm like, no, I'm not telling you that number now. Because first you have to make your own judgment. That is this investment worth doing? You're not putting in the money in this deal because Saket's asking you to put the money in the deal. You're putting the money in the deal because you believe that it's worth the risk, right? And it aligns with your philosophies, your values, whatever you however you evaluate your deal. And that's a very important part because there's so many people that say, well, are you going in? I'm like, I'm definitely going in every single deal I invest. Otherwise, I wouldn't bring it to you, period. How much are you putting in? I'm like, I'll tell you how much I'm putting in. But first, you tell me why do you want to invest?
Hmm. Very smart.
People can't tell. And you can see within 5 minutes, they either don't want to think, they're
Yeah.
not comfortable, or they don't have an understanding of what they really want, right? Which comes back to our thing about what is your why? Why are you investing in this deal? Are you investing in this deal because we'll take a profession which not a lot of people would do, trash collection, right?
Hmm.
So folks think it's beneath them. It could be, no judgment on my end. But if you think about it, trash collection business is $1 billion business.
Oh, I know. Oh,
Somebody is
oh, I
throwing
know.
trash.
Yeah.
Are they passionate about trash? Maybe, maybe
Probably
not.
not.
Probably not. But are they passionate about making money? That gives them the time freedom, the location freedom, every other kind of freedom you can imagine. Maybe yes, right? So again, you have to ask the question yourself, as in whenever you're thinking about doing something in life, the question about are you passionate about is has to be looked in context, right? What were you thinking this business will give you, or this relationship will give you, or this opportunity will give you? Use that as a proxy. If you think it was supposed to give you passion, then don't mix money. Don't, because you should be happy with or without money at that point, right?
Right.
If that was the main purpose, if the main purpose was to make money, then you have to think about is how can I balance my passion along with the money? If the most of us, unfortunately, the answer is no.
Right.
For most of us, there may be exceptions. But if the answer is then is no, it's like, okay, where can I put the least amount of effort and make the most amount of money? Trash collection is a very good example. And there was a mentor of mine, he said something so profound, which I didn't think I understood when he said that. This is when I was starting my investing journey. And this guy was my Warren Buffett. He was like $70 million net worth. And he was like, I want to be him, right? So we were drinking one night, and I asked him, like, can I ask you a stupid question? He's like, yeah. I'm like, I want to make money. Can you help me? Can you help me understand how to make money? He's like, do you want real answer or do you want me to sugarcoat for you? He's like, I'm like, I'm asking the question. I'm being fully open. I don't know how to make money the way I want to make it, not the way, not working and all that stuff. I want to make money the way you're making money because I see you enjoying life. So he said, I'm going to be racist for a second, Saket. I'm like, don't worry. You're not going to offend me. He's like, Indians can't make money except for jobs. I'm like, tell me more about that comment because you've definitely thought about it because you didn't even pause before
Yeah, he didn't hesitate.
he didn't have to pause it all. I'm like, see, look, India as a culture is about chasing the status.
Hmm.
And when you're chasing the status, that's your passion. It's not making money. Making money is secondary to you. You want to make the money by working at the top companies, by launching the next Facebook, by launching the next Microsoft. You want to make money a certain way. But how many Indians, if you look as a affinity group, how many Indians can launch Facebook? How many?
Not a minute. One.
One, right? How many of them could be leading Microsofts? So how many of them could be there? Even if you're a billion people, you can't have billion billionaires. It just won't work, right? So he's like, you need to figure out how important making money is for you. And the moment you figure out, take the glamour away. Do things that are gonna make you money. He's like, I do property management, Socket. Is it sexy? No, it's not. Is it painful? Super painful. Do I have the net worth because of that business? Hell yeah. So is property management good or bad? It's not good nor bad. I just didn't care about my passion. My passion was to give to give the financial freedom to my family to afford a private plane or whatever I wanted to. That's
Hmm.
important. The mechanism to get there, as long as it was legal and ethical, I didn't care for.
We have to put the legal and ethical. We slip that in there.
And he said that. He said that to me. I remember the conversation distinct vividly. I came home and I think it didn't hit me until probably 2 or 3 years ago. This is what he was saying. So when my wife asked me the question 2 weeks ago, is this your passion? I had to pause. I'm like, what is my reason for buying this business? Is it to satisfy a passion itch or is it to grow the wealth? Could they be together? Possibly at some point, but what is today? Today it's really about I see a potential of multiplying the business and growing the business and eventually selling it, right? That's the entire business model. That's the entire reasoning to go in. So I'm like, as long as I'm honest with that, if I'm at
Mhm.
with that reasoning, I'm good. Mo-
Exactly.
I think most people are fighting. Well, I'm not passionate about picking up trash.
And people are lying to themselves.
People are. They all want to
I think
prioritize.
we could do a whole conversation on the lies that we tell ourselves.
One of my mentors used to say that we all tell rational lies. You know how we rationalize things? His thing was we tell ourselves rational lies because
Mhm.
our mind is so smart, we can make sense of anything, and we can tell I'm doing this because of that, right? And it's
Mhm.
very convincing for us analytical people. You can rationalize every single behavior, and you can build a huge wall, but
Yeah,
then
and you can play and think into everything someone says and does if that's what you want to spend your emotional energy on.
completely. So what I would recommend is that, you know what, I think this conversation is going in multiple different directions, but the theme that I wanted to get across today was when you're investing your time, your energy, your resources into anything, don't listen to anybody.
Mhm.
Only person who's gonna be watching out for you and your family is you. Nobody else.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying other people are crooks, but the investment that you have with your family's success, nobody else can have that investment for the right,
Mm-mm.
because everyone else is busy. And if they had that kind of a heart, they would be running a charity, right? But if
Maybe
they're
the next Mother Teresa.
they would be next to the truth. And that's a beautiful soul. Most of us are not trying to become that. So then we have to be honest with ourselves is let's just be true in what is our goal from investing. If it's like I hear I'm not gonna buy a cigarette company because I don't believe in smoking. Perfectly fine. Right? I don't again have any issues with that. But then they turn around and they buy Ford Motor Car business. Well, that's causing more pollution than cigarettes. So if the true reasoning was pollution, right, or health scare, you have to understand every single action you're taking. You have to look at from that lens. But it's convenient to say I'm not going to invest in cigarette companies, but I'm okay investing in Ford. And again, I'm not saying clean energy is good or bad. I'm just giving you an example. They're both producing carbon dioxide. One's hitting closer to home. The other one's going to kill you very very slowly.
Right.
uh, but they're both producing the same toxic effect in the environment. So if toxicity is important, put that angle behind everything. Don't conveniently pick and choose, right? And that's what's called investment thesis, that you believe in your thesis so much that you're not going to change it regardless of who comes. Then you are certain. Then you're okay making a decision on investment. You'll feel comfortable, you'll sleep well at night. And if it doesn't work out, just like the game of golf, you're the only one who takes the ownership of that, not blame. You take the ownership. Like I need to improve in X, Y, and Z because I missed a few points. And eventually get to a point where when you're looking at a business and having a 4 hour conversation by looking at the numbers, you'll actually enjoy it,
Right.
right? You're
You'll be
trying
drained, but you'll enjoy it.
to be drained, but you'll enjoy it saying, okay, I'm learning about this business because I really want to make money out of it so that I can grow it to the next to 10x the business in the next 10 years. Who knows? I'm gonna get off the soap opera because I think I
No, no,
can talk.
no, I'm enjoying. I'm just listening. I'm uncharacteristically quiet. You know me very well. I'm uncharacteristically quiet, but I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying this, and I'm loving this ideology of setting the ego aside, right? I think that was a beautiful point. And again, realizing you care about yourself more than anybody else. And the internet and your best friend and your father in law is never going to be you. And
No,
regardless of what you're talking about, that's an important point, but particularly in investment.
and it's hard though. It's hard
Mhm,
to it's hard to be vulnerable. Like the question I asked a guy, my mentor, how do you make money? I think
mhm.
whoever is listening to this audio to this live, how many people do you know have actually asked that question? No, I don't know any. I don't know anybody who has asked me that question. Saket, how do I make money? Maybe I'm not that. Maybe I'm not that guy, but I've invested last 7, 8 years in trying to learn money, right? So I may know a few things more than somebody else at this point.
Right.
And I know everything, but nobody has ever asked me that, right?
Right.
Put that ego aside and really
Mm-hmm.
go become a kindergarten child where I don't know what 2 plus 2 is. Can you help me?
Right.
Start there and you build it up from there, right? But if you're not ready to go back to kindergarten and ask the question, what is 2 plus 2? But you come across, 2 times 2, you're going to get a different. People are going to communicate with you very differently.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to think you're open. They're going to think you're know-it-all, right? And
Right.
folks who understand what they're doing, if the moment you open your mouth, I can guarantee you, you may be thinking you're fooling them. They know you're not. They know right through it that you don't know it, right?
Yep.
So might as well be honest that I don't understand. Like I had a bookkeeper on the call with the owner. While I can understand the books very well, financial books, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get trumped into. So just be on the call with me. So if we hit a roadblock, you're there, right? I was open to it. I had no issues with it. The Saket 7, 8 years ago, I don't need a bookkeeper. I know everything.
Mm-hmm. It's that pride.
It's a pride. I'm like, I'm a consultant. I was buying billion-dollar businesses. Why do I need a bookkeeper? I can look at the numbers myself. Well, it's not that easy, right? It's a team sport again. And if we buy this business, this bookkeeper is going to end up becoming my bookkeeper. So we're basically training him. So if he
Mm-hmm.
understands the business, he's going to be able to manage the books better for me. But again, it's
Correct.
a team sport. It's not an ego thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this. This has been a good conversation, hasn't it?
It has. I love the conversation. I think we should do a 1 day marathon.
I think we
Uh,
should do a 1 day marathon as well. I just love this concept of setting pride and ego aside because it's hard. It's been really hard for me. I'm
yeah,
really smart. I'm not too prideful to say I'm really was tested very smart. But that's been challenging is setting that aside and saying I'm good at this thing, but I need to grow in this area. And I think for anybody listening to this, your point about asking the tough questions, the questions that could be seen as embarrassing or troubling or otherwise just sort of icky or gross, however you want to say it, that's important. So,
yeah.
again, you open yourself up, right? I know that you've done this in the past. You open yourself up to be that sounding board for people and to be a safe place and a safe energy and a safe space where people can ask that.
Always. I think, look, as a consult, I can just one more point before we end the conversation
Yeah.
here is why is consultant considered to be very quick learner, right? So let's say any industry, we always used to say that, do you know this industry? Well, like give us 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Literally within 2 weeks, you'll understand more than anybody else would know. What's the process? If you think about that, can you understand everything about an industry within 2 weeks by reading books? No. What I would do is I would find the top 10 smartest people in that industry and I would have a
Mhm.
conversation with them.
Yep.
The 10th conversation, I'm going to assimilate everything from these 10 smart people, and that's going to become my knowledge repository at that point. That's what I was doing.
Mhm.
Time as a consulting engagement. Do you want to get deployed on this project? I'm like, do we have 2 weeks? I'm like, yeah, then just put me on. We'll be fine. Because it takes 2 weeks. Now you have to have access to these experts, right? You have to know what questions to ask. But most of us are not born with that skill. The more
Yeah.
you ask, the more you understand how to ask a question, the more you understand how to drill down, the more you understand it. And within no time, like people like me, I'm sure that thousands of people like Saket. I'm not the unique one. Like I may be the quirky one, but I'm not the unique. I'm not the only talented person in investments. There are a lot of people even smarter than me. But have a phone call.
Yeah.
Pick our brains, right? Most of us who are looking to share information and education would love to have a conversation with
Mhm.
someone who's genuinely interested. The
Right.
genuine part is very, very important. Don't waste people's time by getting on a call if you're not willing to do anything about it, right?
So
Genuinely,
stay curious and be real.
definitely. It's very important. Because again, you may go through one question, but the world is very small. The word goes around, right? So
Mhm.
you may be successful in fooling other people 5 times, 10 times, 15 times. Eventually, people will realize that you're just wasting people's time. You're not going to do anything about it. So if you're genuinely interested, you're genuinely curious, and it's going to change your life. The question, like I asked my mentor, how do you make money? He genuinely responded it, right? I didn't understand it. That's my problem. His answer was to the spot, saying, "This is what you need to do. Put aside glamour, prioritize money. The money will come."
I
With that,
love that. And that's by the way, I can see that in so many people. I can see his answer reflected back in so many people, even myself included at times. So it is spot on.
so well, thank you again. Again, feel free if you have genuine curiosity about investing, about understanding money. I'm not
Absolutely.
an expert. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. So
Yes.
feel free to schedule a call. And if I can help you reduce your time to understand anything, I'll be more than happy to jump on a call. There's no
Mhm.
cost. There's really have nothing to lose except your time. But hopefully, with these conversations, you can
And when
understand.
you're learning, you're not losing time. So there is no downside to doing this.
Right. So feel free to schedule a call. If not, keep listening to this. Right.
Yes,
Hopefully,
and
there's
we'll see where we go next week. We'll have to have a play with it and see what comes up. But thank you for sharing your time and energy with us after a 4-hour meeting. I don't know if I could have powered through.
again, Brooke. Thank you again for showing up, and thank you for those who listen either live or offline. We really
Yes.
appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying it. I would love to hear from you. It's a very quiet channel. I would love to hear from you if you liked it, if you hated it. I don't
Yeah.
care if you liked it. I want to know if you hated it because
Drop a note, ask your feedback, ask your questions.
then we can improve and ask your questions, schedule time, whatever you need to do. Getting hold of me is not an excuse because I'm everywhere in terms of the digital media. So you should be able to find me. Finding me is not hard. And my cell phone number is open 703-380-2020 for those of you who didn't have it. Ping me.
Mhm. And
All right.
just keep joining in with us. But yeah, I agree with him. Ask us some questions. And thank you so much for, I feel like I'm walking out of the conversation wiser. So I'm sure our audience is as well.
Well, thank you again. Thank you. You're a great interviewer. So you pulled
You.
something perfect.
And back to that synergy, right?
It
We're
is.
good at different things and it brings out the best in both of us. And thank you to everyone so much for joining us for another sit down with Saket.
Yep. Thank you again. Take care, guys.